morning, SBA students. Welcome to week 10. This week we're going to do some digital inking. And what I would like is if you guys could find some of your own drawings from the past, from your sketchbooks, and I'd like you guys to take some pictures of them. In the next part of the tutorial, I'm going to show you guys how I took some pictures of some work that I did in college. I found some of my old drawings in my dad's barn from 2002, 2001, 1999. Pretty old stuff, but I figured I would scan them and see what I could do with them in Adobe Illustrator. This is going to be our last tutorial for visual computing. I want all the classwork and homeworks are going to be due by April 10th. All right, April 10th. I know a lot of you guys are in quarantine, don't have equipment, or can't find internet right now. So please let me know if you're going to have any problem with the April 10th deadline. Also with Adobe Illustrator, I do want you guys to have some sort of comprehension of Adobe Illustrator. If you can't get Adobe Illustrator, please email me and we can talk about some other apps that you might be able to get for your iPad or for your phone. P.S. There is an app for Adobe Illustrator for the iPad, although it doesn't have all the functions.
As fast as we can, right? And learn about the knife tool. If you look over here to the left, you're going to see that you have the stroke and the fill. Remember, if the stroke is forward here, you can only work on the stroke. If the fill is forward, you can only work on that fill. Underneath it, you have gradients, and you can force them into gradients on the bottom, right underneath that stroke. You see it? So whatever's in front. Now you have your gradient bar up here on the left of the toolbar, and you can add colors here and change the gradient. You also have circular gradients versus linear gradients. You can drag points right off, change color, and even change opacity of the fill, so you can see through to other shapes. This would be great for drawing later on. After radial, you have this free transform gradient now, where you can click on any spot you want and add the color that you want to use. They even have this line system now where you can create regions of gradients. Eraser is going to go right through anything. And this next tool I want to talk about is the knife tool. Right, the knife tool we're going to use, and you have to cut from black line to black line, or the stroke line to the stroke line. This will make a lot more sense when we start drawing a little bit. So drag your knife through, and it can divide shapes into two separate pieces with two separate gradients. Right, this is about the appearance panel. The appearance panel you're going to find to the right, and it looks like a sunshine. And this is where you can override things that may not be working. Brush strokes may not turn the right color. Right now what I'm doing is I'm adding blur underneath in the effects. So my camera was covering it up, but if you go down in the FX menu, you can add blur to paintbrush. Okay, this next thing is about using the A key and the I key. You can select things with the A key on the keyboard, and the I key is going to be the eyedropper and will pick up color. So A is the direct select, or the black arrow, all right? If you look over here, I've used Trump and the coronavirus. All right, we're going to use these colors in here. So first I'm going to click A on the shape, and I with the eyedropper to pick up color, like the orange of Trump's face, or I can pick up the red of the coronavirus. So using the keys A and then I to select your color. Try it out on your keyboard. This will help later on. Down here, remember that there is a paintbrush and a blob brush are two different things. So if you use AI on the paintbrush, it turns into a fill. If you use it on the blob brush is already a fill. right? Paintbrush is a stroke line, blob brush is a fill. So most likely you're gonna use blob to fill in colors today. As you notice, I'm gonna take the blob, turn it red with AI. Image trace, using digital ink from a Photoshop file. All right, so I'm gonna take my drawing, put it into Photoshop, and then we're gonna talk about how we're gonna ignore white or keep white. So this is my drawing in Photoshop of a Halloween costume I did a long time ago. So I'm just using the paintbrush and the eraser to clean it up. And you can draw directly into Photoshop and drag it right into Illustrator. Directly into Illustrator. Now, what I'm gonna do is use this crop tool up here at the top, all right? And the crop tool you can drag through and then hit apply right up here. You can see it at the top. It says apply once you drag it. Hit crop, apply. All right, now what we're gonna do is click on this box up here on the left, right up here where I have the arrow. I got double arrows on it for you, right? And then we're gonna go ahead and click on that and you'll get this box. Right, the first one, you wanna make sure the mode is on black and white, and then you're gonna play with the threshold. So what this is gonna do is take your drawing from pixel and make it into vector, so you don't have to do it. Right, play with the threshold. The more to the right, the darker the lines, the thicker they'll get. The more to the left, the thinner they'll get. So 255 is all black. In between, thin lines, move to the right, move to the right. There we go, lines are perfect. Okay, the next one we'll do is paths, and paths have to do with making it more geometric or making it more curvy. So the more paths, although it gets more complicated and it might crash your computer, the more paths you have. But you can see no paths versus lots of paths. So let me play back through, threshold. You have your paths, and then noise down here, you might want to take out, as I do, because it will take little pieces of your drawing. Play with that. And then you're gonna go up here to this button and hit expand. You must expand the drawing in order to fill it in with color. You must expand the drawing to fill it in with color. Expand. And now I'm just gonna bring a bunch of my palettes out to start filling in color. Now this is a drag and drop, like a coloring book. So I'm gonna drag colors in, or I'm gonna use the AI method of A on the keyboard, click I on the color. Filling in some patterns in the background. Getting some more colors out through my libraries, skin tones. Okay, and I just start clicking on them, AI in the color, or drag the color right into the box. I'm using shift click to grab more than one shape to fill in now. AI, click fill, click fill, click fill. Using some gradients. So the fun part about this is now that it's like a coloring book, I can do this really fast. Okay, now this spot is the part of how we separate the shapes. Now sometimes these shapes will combine because you didn't make your black marker all the way around it. So we need to cut and divide some shapes. And the way we're gonna do that is by using the knife tools I showed in the demo, and you're gonna click from black line all through the black lines. So what I did now is I'm selecting again and changing the color. Let's see it again up here. Grab the piece that didn't connect, take your knife and draw from black to black, take direct select and recolor. Now I'm just gonna keep going through and dragging colors, dragging colors. So the knife's a little tricky. You must grab the shape and then cut all the way through the shape, and it's best to go from black to black ink lines, and then you know. I'm also gonna use some just basic shapes and send them back, rearrange them, bringing them forward or back for your illustration. Things that we've already gone over. So the hat's open, I take my knife tool, slice, and now I can have two different shades of colors in there. You can change the patterns in the background too. If you double click on a pattern, you can actually edit it. Some gradients. And I'm just adding some lighting effects. So the idea is to make full illustrations this week. Some plaid pants. Do a little zombie action here. I'm using shift-click to grab more than one shape at a time to fill them all in. And adding a little gradient, changing the opacity of that shape to create lighting effects, arranging and sending shapes forward and backward. Okay, the next topic is ignoring white, and at this point, you're gonna draw underneath the shapes. So if you have some pretty complicated drawings where the lines don't connect, it's easiest just to draw underneath it. So I'm gonna go ahead through and crop again, add image trace, click the button first, then add the dialog box. Okay, we're gonna go through, once again, if you can't find image trace, it's in the menu over there. Okay, we're gonna go to black and white and add your lines back. But down here is the big thing, right down here. Okay, ignore white. You need to click on that so that you can draw underneath it. It will delete the white area fill. Okay, I'm just making my shape the way I want, playing with the settings, and then you must expand it. You have to expand it once you're done. Okay, now I'm going to, you can clean it up, change it any color you want. The settings, the lines, play with it, because this is just an outline ink now. Okay, and I'm gonna take my eraser to show you that you can go through and clean this up, but it needs to be selected first, but you can clean up pieces that you don't want with the eraser. Because we want to get it ready to lock it down so that we don't have to worry about it. The blob tool will actually pick up on selected areas and combine them, so you can keep adding if it's the same fill color with the blob tool. Okay, you can use calligraphy brushes. We've done this before, setting Wacom if you have them at home. Get a thick to thin with pen pressure. Add the same amount of variety as pen pressure. And now you can get those really nice lines in Illustrator if you'd like to keep drawing on them before you lock them. And you guys could always just trace drawings too with the pencil or the paintbrush. Okay, once I've got it set, I'm gonna lock it down on the layer. And then I'm gonna paint underneath it. And I could have my fill underneath it, my highlights and my shadows, and then the black ink lines will always be on top. Okay, what I'm gonna do over here is grab the pencil. Yep, pencil here. And I'm going to now work on a layer underneath this ink line, all right? And underneath it, I'm gonna create the pencil shapes so that they sit underneath the ink lines and you can't see them. So you take your pencil and you draw around a shape. So first I'm gonna draw around the hair. And then since you're working on that layer underneath and the top layer is locked, you can just send it right back, change the fill, and voila. And you could layer these up, all the shades and shapes and gradients all the same. Okay, I'm just gonna put a background and send it back so you can see what I'm doing. Now I'm gonna grab the blob brush and just start kind of using it as a paintbrush. And since it's underneath, you guys can just have fun and paint like you have been before. Grab some of my color swatches out so that I can just go through and start painting with the blob brush. You can do highlights on top, sending back, and I use it in a combination with the pencil to fill in things fast, play with some gradients, check it out. In the next section, I'm going to bring you how to get through the scan drawings into Photoshop. So you can have the choice to draw directly in Photoshop or scan old drawings. All right, it was a little fast, but a lot of that was review. Followed. It is also your last homework, and after this we're going to be working on final projects. Final projects means that you get to use either Photoshop, Illustrator, or cameras, and you're going to come up with a project and expand on it. I'll send you more about that later. As for homework this week, I want to see what you can do. You can either start on paper and do ink or marker drawings. You can take old drawings and see what you can do with them. You could draw in Photoshop first. You can also draw in Sci or Procreate or anywhere you would like. But I want to see you bring it into Adobe Illustrator and see what you can do. You can also start drawing directly in a vector program like Adobe Illustrator and see if you can come up with some advanced coloring techniques. I want to see what you guys can do with advanced color in Adobe Illustrator or a vector program that also layers vector colors. All right, good luck. I hope everyone is happy and safe wherever you are in the world, and I'll talk to you guys all soon. Good luck.